how do you do pre-writing 1? I hear you asking. You're like, man, I can't wait to get started, right? Just like we did description with the first essay, with the emblematic essay, we're using those same kind of ideas. So you want to describe what's going on, whether it's what you see, what you read, what you hear, all of those levels of things, those are what you're doing. So again, if you have more than one ad, you may have shorter descriptions, but don't skimp out on it this time. You do this one more thoughtfully, more thoroughly. It is something that will help you, and all you're doing is a description, and you're getting 100 for it. Okay, there are many we could all be digging ditches, right? I don't know if you've ever used a shovel, but that shit's hard, especially out here in the desert, man. All right, so same things as last time in thinking about description. Focus on those real unique qualities. Those kinds of things stand out. If you say a classroom, then there's a whole lot of stuff you don't have to mention because that's normal in a classroom. But if you're describing this one, that blue wall, the window that's half open, that, if you lay your head down just right, you can see outside and see the world, the sound of the people walking by in the hallway, the crazy English teacher up front, the fact that the lights are turned off. Most people picture classrooms and the lights are turned on, right? No, not here. Use those specific and concrete descriptions. So in Katie's, instead of just saying it's a black background, she says it's that flat black. So it's not glossy and shiny. It gives us a whole different picture. Quote the key parts. This says that you'll be analyzing, but you may not be quoting everything. When we look at, if you go check out that gold medal flower video, and I put a link on our Blackboard page to it that was in Jim's, that 1960s one. My God, it's hilarious. But when you look at his description, he doesn't quote every single thing that says. He quotes kind of key parts and then sums up the rest, okay? And then don't forget that dominant impression. What's the mood or feeling? Pinpoint that and review it, the text, and that means the ad, right? Not just the words, but what you see, what you hear, to kind of figure out what gives you that. What kinds of things point to that? So there are your keys for doing this. So there are different approaches, though. So, for example, here is the print ad. Oh, wait, video. Okay, what's said, what appears on the text, what's the screen. So here's Christian's Felix one. The advertisement for Felix condoms is set in a nightclub, which is used to make viewers identify with their typical night out. Attractive females and handsome-looking men are used to identify the single lifestyle. Throughout the commercial, there are young people flirting and meeting each other. In the background, there's a female humming, and we decided maybe it was more like moaning, along with the music. As the main character in the ad goes on and introduces Felix condoms, he states that he's not scared of getting STDs, but is petrified of obtaining LFDs, life-term financial deprivation. Then he explains all the things he could buy with the money that he would use to pay child support if he had a child. For example, he could have a new BMW every 2 years or a very luxurious home. At the end of the commercial, a young, attractive female approaches him and asks him if he is ready. He grabs his condom and replies, always. The ad ends with the printed statement saying, putting a protective layer between you and poverty. We watched that one, right? Yeah. What the fuck? Okay. So you can see that's just like that straight up description, but she's not just saying what happens, but also what does she hear, what does she see, all of that. With a print ad, and we just looked at Katie's, and so she said, basically she starts with kind of this is the whole thing. Because when you're just describing print, you want to give, if you're describing an artwork or something like that, a picture, something like that, you want to give people reference. Overall, what are we looking at? And then you want to use those kind of reference, like in the right to the left. Katie says, on the left side of the page, it has this. She also tells us, remember, this is all in bold or all caps, or these letters are in pink on the black. So all of those things become important too. So here's my description of the Energizer ad. This ad for Energizer batteries is set in a child's playroom. So boom, you're like playroom. It's like saying classroom. The room's very clean. Oh, yeah, unique, with only a few toys in the background. Against the pink walls, there's a dollhouse and a few toy dishes scattered in front of it. In the one corner that's visible, so here we go, here's a corner, there's a wicker basket with a stuffed teddy bear sitting on top of it, and above and to the right are some childlike drawings tacked up on the wall. In the center of the picture, so again, we're always orienting people, where is this stuff, are two young children, probably about 3 years old. They're facing one another, and the boy is wearing only baggy red shorts. The little girl, whose back is partially toward the viewer, is wearing a yellow sleeveless dress. The little boy is holding his pants away from his waist, and the little girl is peering down them as if to see what he's got in there. In the top right corner of the ad, the text reads, "Energizer batteries, never let their toys die." And I would like, now knowing what I know, I would say the text, which is in all caps, reads, and I'd probably add in that it's red, red background, white, that kind of thing. So think about, that's what you've got to think about with kind of either one, is like how you describe those different layers. So that's your first job. Find your ad or ads. Slowly, carefully, take your time, watch them 2 or 3 times. If they're print ads, pictures, look at them, and just write a description. Just describe it. If you're doing a commercial, the ad starts out with, there you go. If you're doing a print one, then what is it? This is a child's playroom. This is, it's a 2-page spread, and both pages are just black. Right? On the right side, there's this. On the left, in the center, the middle. So we're always orienting space. Now, the other thing that you have to do with this pre-writing is, once you do that description, I want you to just kind of jot some things that stand out. And it might be some of those things that are just kind of like specific aspects. Like for me with the Energizer one, the pink walls. Like that's like a real clue to whose room this probably is. It might be things that you're already starting to see between the lines. So, for example, what stands out for a Christian, and also go back to those initial 3 readings, the advertising analysis, the jib files, and the introduction to media literacy, and look at those, just like we did with our practice the other day. Oh man, I did a cool PowerPoint of our practice stuff. I'll show it to you next time. With our practice the other day, where, you looked at those and you said, hey, here's this advertisement. What did you see? So here's Christian, and you can see nightclub setting, beautiful people there, single, young, pretty people. That's association, beautiful people. Not concerned about STDs or pregnancy. There's this sense of humor there. More focused on material things, so she doesn't necessarily associate that. But we could also put, buying things will make you happier, right? That's part of it. Idea that he would pay child support instead of being a father and having a family. This fear, you should be afraid of this thing. Implication, it's better to have single and want sex, and that's what most guys want. Having kids will make you poor. That's just kind of an obvious one from the last thing there. But just kind of a few things, a short list of what stands out for you, and can you see any connections? Here, the kids, warm, fuzzy, fear. Both are white and blonde. And I kind of did it differently. The room is clean, summer, never let their toys die. Seems like a threat. They're not toys. And then I kind of just, went through and said, okay, there's humor, card stacking, majority belief, and euphemism in there. So either way, what you're doing is do that description. So when you have finished it, you'll have your description, however long it is, or if you have a couple of them. And then what things stand out, whether they are things from the ad that you're like, hey, this is clearly saying something I want to talk about, or that relationship between those and the readings we have so far. Cool beans?